allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Culpepper.
Present.
Dr. Denson is currently not here. Mr. Griffiths currently not here. Mr. Huntington is excused. Mr. Martin.
Present.
Ms. Mia.
Present.
Mr. Willis.
Here.
You do have a quorum to conduct business this evening.
Okay. The Southfield Planning Department is a 7-member board appointed by the mayor with approval by the city council that acts in an advisory capacity to the council to make recommendations on text amendments to the Southfield zoning ordinance, rezoning requests, special land uses, site plan reviews, the Southfield master plan, and the capital improvement plan. All study meetings and the regular meeting are open to the public in accordance with the Open Meeting Act, PA 267 of 1976, and are held on Wednesday evenings at 6:30 p.m. Meeting agendas are posted the Friday evening before the next Wednesday meeting and are available for viewing at the cityofsouthfield.com. Copies of plans, text amendments, the master plan, and the capital improvement plan are available for viewing at the planning department offices, and current projects can be viewed using our online interactive tool on the planning department's homepage. Planning department projects online. Contact the planning department at 248-796-4150 with questions Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Jeff?
Yes, you approval of your agenda?
Can I get anyone to approve the agenda?
So motion. Motion to approve the agenda for January 29th, 2020.
Support.
Commissioner Martin, and supported by Commissioner Culpepper. Announcements and communications?
We will have some announcements in a moment here. They do have to do with some of the items that are on your agenda this evening.
I'm sorry.
We will have some announcements shortly. We just need to get into the public hearings and the site plans for the agenda.
Okay, public hearing. Public hearing is open for PZR 0DD19-0004.
Yeah, thank you. So PZRODD 19-0004 is the rezoning request of Northland Renaissance Place Development. This is for Unit 5 within the Northland site sub-area down in Section 34. They are continuing to work on plans to modify those. So we did receive a correspondence from them this afternoon requesting a postponement of this project. They are requesting postponement to March. So staff's recommendation this evening would be to postpone to a date certain. That be your March 25th regular meeting. And it does need a motion and a second.
Okay.
Prior to
Commissioner.
motion, just a question, there was a fire at Northland. Does that affect this process at all?
No, it does not. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And you said we need no motion.
You do need a motion, yes.
Yes, Commissioner Culpepper.
I so move PZR 0DD19-0004 be postponed to date certain, which is our March 24th, 2020 date.
If I may, it's March 25th.
25th, March 25th, 2020 date.
Support.
It's been so moved by Commissioner Culpepper and second by Commissioner Willis. Next on agenda is
If I may, you do have to have a vote.
Vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, a vote. Shall we wait for the commissioner?
No.
Okay.
No.
So can we get a vote on, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
None opposed.
For those who are either watching on television or within the audience, so the Unit 5 for Northland has been postponed to a date certain. That would be the March 25th regular meeting. So we will have study meetings moving forward in March. So we just ask that you review the city's website at the beginning of March to check on dates for study meetings for that particular project.
Next on agenda, PZR 19-0006.
Yeah, if I may, we have a couple of other items that we'd like to postpone.
Okay.
So if we can kind of take care of those first before we move on to
Okay.
the other items.
Okay.
So PZR 19-0007, that is a rezoning request of Maple Tree Apartments. If you recall, this was before you a couple of weeks ago. The Planning Commission did request some revisions to the plan, and the petitioner is currently taking a look at those. So he doesn't quite have a new plan to bring before you yet. So he would also like to request a postponement. In this case, he would like to postpone to the February agenda. So the staff's recommendation would be to postpone to a date certain, that being your February 26th regular meeting.
Anything else? Any other postponement?
Well, the other one would be the site plan that also goes along with that.
Right.
That would be PSP 19-0012. So that's the site plan portion. The other one was a rezoning, and the other one was the site plan. You do have to have separate motions on each, however.
Okay. Okay. Can I get someone to make a motion on,
Motion to postpone to a date certain, PZR 19-0006.
If I may, 07?
Seven.
7.
7,
I'm sorry,
PZR 19-0007?
007, I'm sorry. Apologize for that.
Okay. It's been motioned by Commissioner Martin,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Willis. May we have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, carried.
And if I may, now we also would need a motion on PSP 19-0012.
Yes, yes.
For the same reason, through the chair, for the same reason, I would move to postpone PSP 19-0012 to a date certain, and that is the February
26th.
26th meeting.
It's been-
Support?
It's been, it's been proposed by Commissioner Willis, and it's been supported by Commissioner Culpepper.
Vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, and again, to the public, both present and then watching on TV, so these two particular items will be coming back to the Planning Commission in February. So again, I would recommend reviewing the city's website and looking at the agendas that would be posted online. And if I may, also let the record show that Commissioner Denson is now present.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is PZR 19-0006. The rezoning request of the owner Motor City Construction to rezone .98 acres of property from B3 General Business to I1 Industrial Property located at 26650 West 8 Mile Road.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Bryce is going to handle the presentation for this particular item.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is for PZR 19-0006. So this is on 8 Mile Road, 8 Mile in Delaware. This is on the southwestern corner of the city by Shiawassee and Inkster. So it's actually two different parcels. One fronts on 8 Mile and the other fronts on Delaware. The petitioner owns both properties and is seeking to rezone from B3 to I1 Industrial. So this is a closer up view. So it's between Delaware and Van Buren. You can see one is it is more of an industrial existing building, and the other is a single family residence. These are some existing conditions of the site. And the current zoning is B3, so this whole strip of land is all B3, including that single-family house, so it's already existing non-conforming. And several of these properties, although they're B3, are generally more industrial in nature. The proposed rezoning is for I1. It is contiguous to I1 across from Delaware Street. The future land use for this property does show regional mixed use. So without any further ado, I'd like to invite the petitioner up. Just have to state your name and address for the record.
No problem. Good evening, Council. My name is Nicholas LaJudi. Address to our office is 2035 Franklin Road, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, 48302.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you tell us something about?
So what we do, we're an insurance restoration company. What we're looking to do here is store our contents. Because right now at our office, we don't have enough contents facility. So we initially bought this building. It was told to us it was zoned industrial. We bought it, went through everything. We were getting ready to get started. Went to the city, found out it was not industrial. So now we're going through all this to get it industrial so we can store contents there. And what we do, we're a fire restoration company. So when a home burns down or has a fire damage, we'll store their contents, clean them up, and hold them in a storage facility until we can complete the repairs. Once the repairs are complete, we bring back your contents. So this is a place where we would store our contents at until the repairs are complete.
And through the chair, you're planning on maintaining the residential?
The house is going to
Houses.
stay the same, correct. So we're going to fix up the building, fix up the house, try to pretty it up as much as we can. But yeah, we're not doing anything with the house.
And I'd like to add that we've had 3 or 4 requests for industrial uses at this location previously because it looks like an industrial use. And then those applicants or potential buyers find out that it's B3 and then they go away. And this, of all the industrial types of potential uses, this is very interior and low-key. And they are proposing to make improvements to the exterior of both buildings as well as the site.
Correct.
Shall we open for public hearing?
It is a public hearing, so you do have to open up the public hearing.
This is a public hearing. Public hearing is now open. Anyone like to make any comments? You have 3 minutes. Seeing none?
Hold on.
Okay. State your name and address.
Address John Ballack. I live at 20753 Delaware Street. I'm actually 2 houses down from the house. And my concern is just noise. Them 2 houses down, the noise, the big building on the right-hand side, for some odd reason, they make a lot of noise in the middle of the night. And then there's a building that deals with metals, and they dump stuff in the middle of the night, and it makes a lot of noise. And I got a kid that goes to school and stuff like that, so I'm just concerned about that. If they want what they want, that's fine. I just want noise down at night, that's all. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right.
Petitioner, can,
Well, through the chair, let's close the public hearing first.
I was just going to ask if there were any more. Are there any more people who would like to make a comment? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Petitioner, would you like to address his comment?
Yeah, maybe if you could just give your hours of operation and then you can address the noise issue.
Right now, there are no hours of operation. Like, so when we do decide to open up, we will be 9 to 5 business. I know right now, there's actually 1 van that we're working on right now in the interim, because we're using it inside instead of outside. But as far as the dumping metal, we don't.
No, that's, excuse.
Oh, that's somebody else? Got you,
Excuse
okay,
me.
all right. Yeah.
Address your questions and comments to the
Okay,
chair.
so that's pretty much it.
So I just want to reiterate through the chair, your hours of operation will be 9 to 5. Is that
Correct.
Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday.
Is any
there-
potential?
There might be a Saturday, because sometimes there's homeowners that work Monday through Friday,
Right.
and we have to deliver their contents on a Saturday. So we would pick up the contents and deliver it on a Saturday.
But they're similar type of hours?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that's all. I think that should take care of that concern. And if I heard the resident is his concerns are more with the adjacent properties.
Okay.
And we can certainly pass that on to code department.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments? Commissioner Martin?
Just to clarify, the activities that you'd be doing at the building are more or less like a moving company, moving stuff in and out,
Correct.
and
So,
doing the restoration within the building so that there's no external noise going on.
correct. Everything will be stored in the building. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Culpepper?
Yes, as I mentioned in our planning session, thank you,
Thank you.
okay? Glad you're taking over that property to do something with that area because that area does need some revitalization. So as we talk, you are going to do some landscaping outside to beautify that area. And also glad you're keeping that house, okay? That's
It's a nice house.
That's a pretty good house.
It is a very nice
That's
house.
a good house. So when I went by there and looked at it, looking at what you want to do, is restore inside. So again, I hope it goes through. I'm completely ecstatic that that area will be revitalized, and know you will be a good neighbor. If something comes up that needs to be done, I know you will be a good neighbor. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for the support.
Chair.
Yes. Any other comments, Commissioners?
If I may, through the chair, just a quick question. So if a fire happened in the middle of the night, is it possible that you can get called to secure a building after a fire?
So we are 24/7, actually respond.
So there is a potential that you could be,
But
when
they
you say
do-
9 to 5.
They don't respond out of that building. All our emergency after hours respond out of our Bloomfield Hills location. That's where our main office is.
Okay,
all our-
so you would not be dispatched from this site to go to a site
No, sir.
to secure a building?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Denson?
Thank you. So, be clear that you just, this building is for storage only?
Correct. So kind of what's going to happen is we'll go to a home, pick up the contents. If they need cleaning, we'll take them to our Bloomfield location, clean them, wrap them, store them, box them up. They'll get dropped to this location, and then they stay there until the house is repaired or the building's repaired. Then we'll bring everything back. So it's strictly just going to be just so we can store our contents until that home or business is ready to be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner?
Here.
Commissioner Willis?
And while I'm going to assume sometimes smoke smelling furniture, do you do anything to clean it? Are you using any type of machinery or chemicals
We do
to
have-
rid the possibility of a smoke smell?
We do have an ozone chamber that's at our Bloomfield office. So once we get it, it goes straight through ozone chamber, it gets HEPA-vac, and it gets wiped. If it doesn't respond to any three of those stages, it's total lost. So we let the insurance carrier know. We tried our best to clean it. It wouldn't respond. That item gets discarded in our dumpster at the Bloomfield office.
Does that chamber make any noise?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Any more?
Speaking.
Okay. Commissioner Martin?
You're talking about transporting the information from your Bloomfield office where the actual cleaning is done to this building, which would actually be the storage facility. Are there any vehicles, commercial moving vehicles or anything going to be kept on site?
They will not be kept on site, no. And only contents that need to be cleaned will go to Bloomfield first. There's some jobs where I have to sand and finish a whole main level. So I'll take your kitchen stuff, I'll take your dining room. That doesn't need to be cleaned, it just needs to be moved out of the way. So those will go straight to Southfield, but no vehicles will be left on site, nor will vehicles be parked inside.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Anything else, commissioners? Okay.
Ready for a recommendation?
Yes, recommendation,
Okay.
please.
Just one more comment from staff. As always, we did put together a rezoning sheet for you, and based on all the standards for rezoning, we did find that we could easily support this particular
I got that, and I
rezoning.
went over mine.
With regard to a recommendation, the planning department does recommend favorable recommendation of PZR 19-0006 to rezone 9.8 acres of land from B3 General Business to I-1 Industrial for the following reasons. Southfield Comprehensive Master Plan indicates regional mixed use for these properties. Change in zoning would be comparable with and similar to existing adjacent zonings and land uses to the east. This section of 8 Mile Road on either side of the subject property appears industrial in character, and the proposal is in accordance with the standards of rezoning for the property.
Now that we've had our recommendation, commissioners?
I would move
Commissioner
for
Willis?
a favorable recommendation of PZR 19-0006.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Willis and seconded by Commissioner Martin.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I'd like to abstain since I walked in the middle of the presentation.
Okay, the record, Commissioner Griffiths would like to abstain.
Mr. President.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you and good luck.
Next is a site plan.
Yes, thank you. The next item on the agenda is PSP 19-0009. This is the site plan review request of GMB Architecture and Engineering on behalf of the owner, Yeshiva Beth Yehuda School, for the construction of a 23,301 gross square foot third floor addition to the existing school. If you recall, this particular item came before you a couple of weeks ago. One of the concerns that staff had did have to do with some parking issues,
Right.
Especially in front of the building along Lincoln Drive, and that there appeared to be some issues with overall parking requirements, the number of spaces required versus the number of spaces that have been provided. Just from the standpoint of site, where the site is, just for the public, and for the commission as well, we are on the south side of Lincoln Drive. We are between Greenfield Road and I-696 and the Freeway Deck Park. The image that's on the screen right now is an older image that was taken actually when the school was under some construction. So the site actually does have a very large parking lot on the west side of it, as well as a driveway that goes all the way around. The existing site, and existing conditions for the north, south, east, and west. The current site is zoned single-family residential and does allow schools. So this is, it's not a great image, but this does give you an indication of the revisions to the plan with regard to parking. And I'm going to flip to the next slide only because it gives you a closer look. If you recall, when this came before you a couple of weeks ago, they actually had angled parking across the frontage, and there was a concern about using that angled parking as stacking in an area where there'd be drop-off and pick-up of children. So one of the comments that was made was that they may want to look at doing parallel parking similar to what they did on the parking lot directly to the west. So they are showing, I believe it's a total of 12 parking spaces. These are in accordance with the zoning ordinance with 20-foot spaces, 6-foot aisles in between in order to allow backup. And I'll switch back to this only because it gives you an opportunity to see where additional spaces can be provided. The zoning ordinance does allow for parking spaces within 300 feet of the subject property. The petitioner does own the multiple family on the corner of Greenfield and Lincoln, as well as to the south of that is the park that got approved a number of years ago. So between those two sites, there are an additional 37 parking spaces. Based on the zoning ordinance requirements, 159 spaces are required. And with the bike rack and then these additional spaces, we actually have 174 available. So from a parking standpoint, they do meet their parking requirements with these additional spaces on adjacent sites. One of the other issues that came up had to do with building height. Within the zoning ordinance, we do allow up to 55 feet for school, and the petitioner is proposing a 42-foot with this third floor. So there are no waiver requirements for any setbacks, no waiver requirements for parking, and no waiver requirements for any height requirement as well. This kind of gives you an indication of what the building will look like for the third floor. It's going to be of similar materials that the existing school is currently constructed of. This is the third floor, and again, it is made up of classrooms. So that is the proposal that's before you this evening. again, to allow for the third floor construction, and then the amendments to the plans for the parking requirements. And the petitioner is here this evening, and if you'd like to add anything in the presentation, feel free.
Please, Commissioner, petitioner.
Good evening. My name is Mitch Deiser from GMB Architects and Engineers. I'd like to thank the Commission for your time tonight in considering this application. We hope that some of these modifications that are here from our last meeting show that the school's interested in being as good a neighbor as they can and alleviating some of the traffic concerns that were raised at the last discussion.
Could you please state your name and address, please, for the record?
Sure. My name is Mitchell Deiser from GMB Engineering. My address is 85 East 8th Street in Holland, Michigan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beyond that, if there are any questions about, there were some questions raised at the time on additional parking or additional staff counts and additional student counts. I think all that information has been provided to the staff of the city, along with some parking study information that was done to show kind of parking levels and how much of the existing parking lots have been used over time.
Yeah, and if I may, through the chair, you did receive a copy of that, in your packets. They did do a study, I believe 2 or 3 times a day for almost a week, and did record number of spaces that were used versus number of spaces that were open.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to share? Because we are televised in this way, the viewing audience can hear and find out what you had planned. If there's anything else you'd like to present, please.
I have no comments unless there are further questions or if any of the other members from the school would like to say something.
Okay. Commissioners? Commissioner Willis?
Thank you. I think I have one question. It was discussed a number of times, not that we had adequate or not adequate parking space, but the time of events, the beginning of the school day, the end of the school day, that we would have issues with traffic, interfering with traffic on Lincoln. And I'm wondering, in the studies that you conducted, that you had all look at whether or not you would continue to interfere with traffic on Lincoln, or just how did you look at addressing that if it's a real concern?
The dean of the school would like to step up here. I think he might be able to more clarify their procedural processes there than I can.
And please, sir, for the record, state your name and address,
Good
please.
evening, Rabbi Yitzchak Grossbard, 15970 Hilton Street, here in Southfield. So yes, we did look at that very carefully. You are correct. We believe that the limited amount of times that there's an issue on backed up strictly during carpool could be alleviated in 3 ways. Number one, we will communicate and make sure everyone is even more clear where the parking spaces are. For example, again, I know you're talking about drop-off, but parking is important. We have parking in the back south side of the building that is very often, when we did this study, not used. We need to do a better job making sure people park there. Number two, we already have, actually, thanks to you, in part, increased the amount of people that we have directing drop-off and pickup. We did not see a huge amount, or even a little amount. The only time we saw it, just to give you an explanation of our school, we have 3 different pickup times: 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock. When that happens, there's no backup. The only time that there's backup on the few days of the year that we have everybody at the same time. That happens, it actually happens on Fridays to 2/3 of it, and it also happens on Sunday mornings, but that's not an issue. We haven't seen it, at least. And the 4 or 5 times a year where everybody stops at a certain time, like, I'll give you an example. January 1st, we have morning studies January 1st, or a couple other times throughout the year, calendar year. So in order to take care of that, we do have, presently, it already worked once, actually. We tried it out on a Friday, and it worked.
And we think that'll be a major, major improvement. Now, nobody parks on Lincoln because of this drop-off. We're only talking about drop-off. And one more thing that I want to add is that something that we didn't mention a couple weeks ago, and that is that we found that when this eventually happens, you know, God willing, soon, this third floor, there's that school down the street to the west, right? It's the old, it was called the Shaynolls Elementary School that we're presently using for our temporary girls' school, which is located in Oak Park. That girls' school is opening, again, God willing, at the end of May. That, we feel pretty strongly, has created the increased amount of traffic with all the different parents staying on Lincoln. Once they won't be there, and we'll have a much more, we'll have, many of the parents are the same, but it'll be spread out from Oak Park campus to Southfield campus, which was before we started this, even though obviously the student body will have increased by then, but the concept of having two different campuses instead of having two schools with student bodies somewhere around 350, all on one street, that has made it a little harder, and that has made the Lincoln area a little more congested than it is. So we think those things, communication, increasing the amount of people, which we already have and we will continue to do, directing traffic. We have two different lanes now. One goes around the building for one pickup, one goes in the front of the building for another pickup. That means a lot of staff because there's direction. People have to give directions, and also has to be a lot of supervision. But we're ready to do that. We think it's the right thing, and basically we agree. So that's what we have done and we hope to do.
Answer your question, Mr. Rhodes. Commissioners, anyone else?
To the chair.
Commissioner Culpepper.
I was the one that was deaf on the parking in our sessions because I remember the parking situation when you had the school before. I like the parallel parking. I think that alleviates the parking problem. What I really like what you're saying, and I hope you stick to it, is increasing the people out there that direct. I think that would be a big asset if you had, call a monitor or director, whoever out there, to let them know where to park. That would be great. I think that's neat. But my other question is, if this proposal goes through and the construction starts, how are you going to utilize or do your construction into the area? The school's still going to be open? How are you going to direct the contractors coming into the school and out?
That's an excellent question. We envision, the contractor is here, you could correct me.
Okay.
You want to come up?
Yes, sir, and your name, address, please.
My name is Jacob Manchando with the AUK Construction Company. Our address is 65 University Drive, Pontiac, Michigan. So the planning and starting construction would be just as they're getting out of school. A lot of things we use, especially to help with traffic. We have on-site staff that will direct traffic. We hire flaggers. If we need to, we get traffic signals and arrow boards. I don't foresee seeing arrow boards on this because the goals will be all of the materials will come right off that road as quickly as possible. We don't plan on staging trucks, semis, anything like that on Lincoln. There is also parking for the contractors we can use. On the opposite side of 696, on the west side, they also own a parcel of land, and they have Shaynolls there. So contractors during the year will not interfere with that parking requirement either. So we've already started to look at where we're going to stage materials, which will probably be off-site in other areas, or be brought to the job the day they need them. So we're not going to keep things, or the individuals working on site will not interfere with these parking requirements.
Okay. Yeah. To the chair. Yes, that's very important that you don't have contractors staging their vehicles on the site or on Lincoln. Second thing is you didn't answer about the school. While you're doing under construction, will you still carry on school, or will school be closed while you're putting on the third floor?
So we're planning, oops, sorry.
I know.
We're planning this project. A lot of the lifting over top of the school will be done during the summer, which alleviates a safety concern and people being in the school. So most of the heavy lifting will be done in accordance with my OSHA standards and building standards. So they will start to reoccupy school in the fall, but we will still be working on site doing activities because it will be probably a 12 to 16-month project overall. So.
Okay. Now, you addressed the issue with the kids Monday through Friday. I know you have events there on Saturday. Am I correct? There has been activity in that building, and I know you do other things other than just teach the kids. You have other events, or I don't know what to call them, but there is activity in that building on Saturdays. Am I correct?
You are correct. The activity is a synagogue. It's not the children.
Right.
And there's no parking, there's no driving. Nobody drives on Saturday.
Okay, so the events that's in that building is strictly by the residents walking? There is no...
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, Friday night, a handful of people will drive their car and leave it there, but no one drives on Saturday.
Understood. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Have your questions been answered?
My question answered. Thank you.
Any more? Commissioners? Okay, Jeff, please.
Okay, recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, the Planning Department, with regard to PSP 19-0009, Planning Department does recommend favorable recommendation of the site plan review request of GMB Architecture and Engineering on behalf of the owner, Yeshiva Beth Yehuda School, for the construction of a 23,301 gross square foot third floor addition to the existing school with associated parking and other on-site amenities. We make this recommendation for the following reasons and conditions. The final detailed landscape plan must be approved by the Planning Department prior to the project being reviewed by the City Council. Exterior lighting will be shielded to prevent spillage of glare onto adjacent properties. Photometric lighting plan shall be submitted for review by the Planning Department prior to this item going to City Council. Petitioner is to provide a sprinkler system for all landscape areas to encourage preservation of plant material. Petitioner is to execute a perpetual maintenance agreement for the landscape and parking areas both on site and in the right-of-way, which includes the maintenance of any stormwater detention system. Petitioner is to implement the recommendations made by the Southfield Police Department's Crime Prevention Bureau regarding site security. Building will be constructed in accordance with the elevations shown on sheet A0.04 dated 10/31/19. Approval of the site plan and/or building elevations represented herein does not does not constitute or nor guarantee approval for signage. Separate approval and sign permits must be obtained by from the building department for any proposed signs. And bike racks shall be installed in accordance with Article 4, Section 5.29, Paragraph 12. Thank you.
Commissioners, you've all heard recommendation by the Planning Department. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion?
Commissioner?
I would move that PSP 19-0009 be favorably approved.
Support.
It has been proposed by Commissioner Willis and supported by Commissioner Culpepper. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May we get the approval of the minutes, December 4th, and study meeting, and also December 18th?
To the chair,
Yes.
I so move that the minutes from December 14th, 2019 study meeting, also December 18th, 2019 regular meeting be approved as written.
Support.
It has been motioned by Commissioner Culpepper and supported by Commissioner Willis. Approval of minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's carried. Public comment? Any person addressing the commission shall be limited to a period of 3 minutes unless such period of time is extended by the presiding officer or by majority vote of the commission. I see none. Approve the planning meeting schedule for February 2020?
Yes, thank you. So, as you're aware, we put together a calendar from January to January. So your meeting schedule, obviously, with tonight's meeting ends the last calendar that was approved by the Planning Commission. So we do have before you the calendar for February through January of 2021. And we are requesting that you approve that this evening so we can then schedule the rest of the meetings for for 2020.
Okay, commissioners?
To the chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
I so move
Coker.
that the planning commission scheduled meeting be approved as written.
Anyone support?
Second.
It's been carried by, motion has been carried by Commissioner Culpepper, it's supported by Commissioner Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Approve the Planning Commission Annual Report for 2019?
Yes, thank you. As you're aware, each year we put together an annual report. It is required by the Zoning Enabling Act that the Planning Commission make this annual written report to the legislative body, which in this case is the council, concerning its operations and the status of the planning activities that took place, including recommendations regarding actions by the body related to planning and development. So within your packets is the report for 2019. It does go through all the various aspects, rezoning requests, site plan reviews, special land uses, and so on. Also at the request of, I believe it was Mr. Martin, with regard to value. We did place value of each one of those developments at the end under the description of what the project was. So you can see totaled up at the very end, we actually had, I believe it was $87 million worth of development that got approved, recommended by the Planning Commission, ultimately approved by the council. Just want to kind of run through just the organization, the activities. So the first screen does show the members of the Planning Commission, planning staff, and then the number of applications and meetings that we did have in the 2019 season. We had 7 rezonings, 9 special land uses, 13 site plans, 4 overlay development district rezonings, and a total of 31 Planning Commission meetings for 2019. Of the items that were discussed, from a zoning amendment standpoint, we had regulations for sexually oriented businesses, regulations for small event venues, regulations for medical marijuana facilities, as well as the creation of a residential unit development district. We also made an amendment to the Planning Commission bylaws with regard to election of officers, the master plan implementation, non-motorized transit inventory, pathway inventory, neighborhood gateway inventory. We also added public comment to our Planning Commission meetings. We thought that was important from the standpoint of transparency and to at least give the public the opportunity to speak at our meetings. Medical marijuana facilities, we did discuss earlier, as well as the North End redevelopment and streetscape elements. Initiatives, the Southfield, Sustainable Southfield Master Plan implementation, with the Arts Commission just continuing to support funding, restoration, installation, whether that is on public property or on private. Capital improvement plan update for 2021 through 25-26. City center development, continued placemaking support of special events and economic development initiatives. We had the LTU pathway, as well as the Ever Center. Redevelopment ready in recertification in this case. We're going through recertification. Northland redevelopment implementation, zoning ordinance technical review and alignment with the adopted master plan. Adaptive reuse of former school sites and buildings, and housing and transportation options for seniors. So these are initiatives that we're looking to bring forward through the Planning Commission, hopefully to council in the year 2020. Projects that went through the process, we have the LTU Stadium, truck light, which is currently under construction, corner of Civic Center Drive and Northwestern Highway. We have Tomorrow Star Academy on 9 Mile, the skilled nursing facility, which is on Evergreen Road, just south of City Center here. The 123.net storage building, the Glasgow office on 12 Mile. Lassa Road Mikvah, the Comerica Bank building. Marthoma Church Addition, the Telegraph Road building, as well as the Brooks Barn. So again, it would be staff's recommendation this evening that the Planning Commission approve the Planning Commission annual report for 2019, so we could then move that to the City Council level.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I just noticed that we did not include the hotel development,
Right.
the Greenfield development, Galleria office tax. So those are in your report. We will add those to the presentation will be given to council that's scheduled for February 10th. And I'm going to encourage and ask as many Planning Commission members that are available to attend that evening. I've already spoken to the chair to be available to be part of the presentation. So it'd be nice if you can make it. It should be the early or part of the meeting.
Okay. Okay, Commissioners, can we get approval of the Planning Commission Annual Report 2019?
To the chair,
Yes, Commissioner Culpepper.
comment before we get a recommendation.
Yes, yes, sir.
Let me say to the staff, along with Kyle, I think this is a great and very encompassing report. It shows that this commission is focused and centered. We're having 21 meetings and accomplishing what we've done. Under the leadership, Jeff, of you and Terry, I appreciate you. This is overwhelming. And I would be very interested when we give this to the council, since it totals the amount of money that has been approved through us. I would be interested in whatever comment comes out of that, if any. But let me say to the staff, great job of leadership for us in 2019, and for the accomplishment that this council has gone through and the meetings we've had and the stuff we've done. So my hat's off to you. Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
And now I'll make a recommendation. I so move that the commission report be added and approved with the 2 additions that will be added at a later date.
Support.
The approval.
Question.
Oh, okay.
Were there 2 additions or 3?
Well, there's several.
There's several.
So, okay.
Well, just the ones that are outstanding from our
Yeah.
report. I'm just making a list of them right now.
Amended, okay.
Okay. Okay, well, this motion has been made by Commissioner Culpepper, and it has been seconded by Commissioner Willis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's passed. Election of officers.
Yes, thank you. So based upon your bylaws, the first meeting in January, you do elect your officers for the next year. So I do know that Mr. Huntington is not here this evening, so there are 6 of you here. I do know that Mr. Huntington is willing to move things forward. He has stated that he personally is not putting his hat in the ring for chair again for the coming year. He has stated, though, that if no one does step forward, he is willing to become chair again for another year. So basically, the process has been over the years is that we have nominations, and it can be more than 1 nomination. We start with nominations and vote, and we would be taking those nominations and votes for the chair, for the vice chair, and the secretary.
Chair, Vice Chair, and Secretary. Okay, can I get any motions for Planning Commission Chair? Commissioners? Commissioner Willis.
I would move Mr. Culpepper for chair.
To the, sorry, to the chair.
Yes, sir.
Don't look at me like that.
Yes, Mr. Culpepper.
Mr. Willis, thank you for the nomination, but I'm not declining, but I would hope and think that maybe some of the newer members would like to take the chair. That is what I would like to see. Someone that hasn't had it, that's willing to step up and take that responsibility. I would like to see that. If anyone up here is willing to do that, I would appreciate it. If not, I'll accept the nomination.
Yes, Commissioner Martin?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Griffiths.
Mr. Griffiths, do you accept?
I'm not a newer member, so I could just decline, right?
No, you can't decline. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, why not? I'll do it. Yes. I'll
Okay,
accept.
right, good.
I'll accept Griffiths.
Any others? Okay, we have 2 nominations.
No, I withdraw my nomination.
His was conditional.
It was
To the
conditional.
one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'll stand.
So if there's no reason for a vote, we have them.
By
We just take
acclamation.
you don't have to
Do
do
we
a
have to
roll
take a
call. You
session?
don't have to do a
Take a
roll
session.
call.
Roll call.
You don't have
No,
to
you
do
don't
a
have
roll
to.
call. You
Yeah.
can just
Yeah,
ask if all in favor.
all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, now for,
Yes, thank you, if I may. So that's 6 ayes for Mr. Griffiths as chair.
Yes.
Vice chair?
Vice Chair?
What she does to them when the chair isn't there. Yeah.
Miss Mia is the current vice chair.
You have to follow the protocol, Mr. Martin.
I'm sorry.
Follow the protocol.
I'd like to make a motion that Ms. Mia continue as vice president.
Vice chair.
Vice Chair, sorry.
Any more, please? No more? Support. Oh, thanks a lot. Okay, well, no need for roll call. Okay,
Well, just
Secretary.
just
Well,
ask.
is there any other nominations?
I'm sorry?
We need to know if there are any other nominations.
That's what I was asking. Any more? No more nominations? I guess that's
So you can just ask for affirmative.
Check.
All in favor.
All in favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
And since Mr. Since Mr. Griffiths, who was the previous secretary, is taking over the chair, we'll need to ask for someone to step up for secretary.
To the chair,
Yes, sir.
I nominate Dr. Denson.
I accept.
Any more nominations? Well,
Move to
All in
close
favor?
nomination.
all in
Aye.
favor of nomination for Commissioner Denton?
Okay, thank you. So as the elections have gone, Mr. Griffiths is the new chair. Ms. Mia remains vice chair, and Dr. Denson is the secretary. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All righty.
Job.
Any miscellaneous?
Yes, I have one item. I handed out a flyer.
Yes.
This is really twofold. Part of our redevelopment ready certification, recertification is the process for selecting board members and commission members, and then ongoing training. And there's an opportunity here through the Michigan State University Citizen Planner Program. It's a 6 weeks course, approximately 3 hours each week, and they cover understanding the planning and zoning context, planning for the future of your community, implementing the plan with zoning, making zoning decisions, using innovative planning and zoning, and successfully fulfilling your role. Unfortunately, these are on the same night, evening nights that we meet, but only 2 potential conflicts for voting. What I'd like to offer is, and I think this will be offered again once or twice throughout the year, but if you're interested in attending these sessions, I'm going to offer we will pay for the enrollment of 1 planning commissioner to physically go to the classes on Wednesday. And the only caveat is that if we need a quorum on the night that you're at the class, we would ask that member to bypass that class. The other thing is, this is also available online. So, and that's only a 15-hour online class where you take the same courses at your convenience. There's a slight cost savings for that. So if you're interested, I'd like you to send me an email of your interest and your availability, whether it be, if it's physically attending the class, first one that I receive and I okay will be the one that gets to go to the class. But if you're also interested in taking the online classes, depending on how many people we get in this round, I can look at our budget, and we might be able to fund 1 or 2 in this session, and then maybe possibly another 1 to 3 in next fiscal year, which is really after July 1st. And I would strongly encourage those who haven't taken this or the newer members to do this as a refresher. And this is in line with also our redevelopment ready. But I think it's good to see an outside presenter talk about these things. You can see other citizen planners and planning commission members and are able to see what other communities are doing if you attend the actual class. But some people might be more comfortable doing the online class and it might fit your schedule better. But I want to strongly encourage you to consider this. And again, if we can't get you in this round, we'll look at future rounds. But I'd hate to have this set of classes in the winter go by the wayside and not at least have one planning commission member attend. So the first one is on February 12th. And again, we would excuse you from all the future meetings except for if we needed a quorum or if there was something important for you to vote on.
Terry, is this class taught any other place at any other time?
It is. I think this would be the closest class. They do these throughout the state. You can go online, and if you find another series of classes that are on a different night or that are more convenient, we certainly would consider it. But this was forwarded to us through the Oakland County because it's located in Pontiac and it's close for people in Southeast Michigan.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask, is that we had an email that had the list of classes throughout the year, and if there were any classes that you would suggest that members consider, other than, I mean, I agree. I think the one
we have shared some luncheon workshops and other things, but this is a 6-week, 15 to 18-hour comprehensive. Probably you can't get any better for the cost.
Okay.
Now, I can't put you up overnight and all that, but we would be willing to at least pay for your registration and maybe, a stipend for travel or so forth. But again, it's going to be first come, first serve for physically attending, and then the online class. You would have to provide that you completed it with a certification, and we would reimburse you.
Yeah, they do have certification after completion of all the classes, I have noticed.
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully someone will take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Martin, you something else.
No, Miss Mia and I had already discussed.
We had discussed.
What?
Yeah. But is there anything else that all miscellaneous?
For me, just that you do have a study meeting next Wednesday, and we do have a number of items on the agenda.
Okay. Well, I guess this meeting is over. That's it.